Well, good afternoon. Welcome to Safari Helicopters. My name is Dana. I'd like to welcome you on board. We got Shelly and Dave on the right. There's Roger and Ellen in the middle. And we have Ray and Ivy to the left-hand side. Hello. So come on in, grab a seat, kick back and relax, and enjoy the ride. How are you, Shelly? Hi, Dave. Oh, Dave can't hear us here. Hi, Dave. How are you? You look pretty excited. Good. Should be a lot of people, I think they get in the helicopter. I mean, some people kind of like, ooh, ah, look at that, look at that, look at that. Other guys are like, nah, they're just kind of staring. They can't even open their mouth. It's your first helicopter ride, is that the deal? Good. It's a lovely day to fly. Hi, Roger. How are you? Hello, Ellen. Good afternoon. How are you? Dana. I can't hear you either. Try the mic. It's right there. Yeah, I'm Dana. There you go.
Dana?
Yep.
Okay.
Hello. Boy, he's going to get off before us. Oh, well, what a busy day. There was like 10 of us out there last hour buzzing around. I think they all got ahead of us, so we should have the skies to ourselves pretty much.
I just hope you get me back to my cruise ship on time.
I think so. Why not?
Just still thinking about it.
Yeah. Hi, Ray. I'm Dana. Hi, Ivy. Dana's the name. Welcome aboard. Well, good. Let me give you a real quick but thorough safety brief, and let's get out of here. The important stuff, you know, how to get out and stuff like that is important. Here's the doors. You can see the levers here. It says open and closed. Guess what? That's open. And out you go. Same thing over here. Yeah, on the right rear of the door. So either Ray or Ellen could open the door if they had to. Always exit away from the tail when you leave a helicopter. The blades back there are sharp. They're hard to see. They could definitely kill you if you ran into them. So avoid the tail at all costs. Never forget that. That's a jettison there, Ray. So if the door jammed and you couldn't open it otherwise, you can release it. Pull up the plexiglass, pull up and back on the orange handle, and it'll fall right off here. The fire extinguisher's right down here next to me and Ivy. Under your seat, Roger, is a first aid kit. Smoking is prohibited on the aircraft, so don't do that. Motion sickness is also prohibited. No, don't do it. You shouldn't have to. It's not that windy. There's a few bumps here and there, but you'll find helicopter flying to be very smooth compared to, you know, small airplanes if you've been brave enough to go up in those. It's a good smooth ride. Keep a little air flowing. Keep a good attitude. You'll be fine. The air helps a lot, you know. Know where the bag is in case you got to grab for it, but it's really best not to hold the bag in your hand. Then you're just thinking about it. The less you think about getting sick, the better. Have you been up before? Your first time? You've been up, huh? Quite a bit, or a couple times, huh? Yeah, A-Star's a real nice helicopter, real smooth. I guess I'm all set. If you guys are, you ready to go? Great, I'll call the tower and we're on our way. And away we go. Just 5 minutes ago, there were about 20 other helicopters all lined up here, and they all took off. It's a busy airport here. It's a busy time of the year, you know, February, March, pretty good months tourist-wise. Then you throw in a cruise ship with about 1,800 more people, that really puts us to our saturation point, you know. You can see the ship. It looks like it's beached over there, but that's Nawili Willi Harbor. So we'll cut across the golf courses, we'll fly by the ship so you can get a good picture of it. Then we'll kind of head for the middle, where all the really fun stuff is, you know. Well, golf courses are fun, I guess. This is the Kauai Lagoons in front of us here. We got some great golf on Kauai, and it's not that crowded. That's the beauty of it. Some championship quality golf here. That's the Marriott Hotel. This kind of pinkish looking thing over on the right. That was built 40 years ago at least, before we had height restrictions. So that's actually the tallest building on the island. It's a really fine beach, one of the better beaches on the east side. And this is Nawili Willi Harbor. It's our main commercial harbor. One of 4 different harbors on the island. It'll hold a couple of cruise ships, actually. There's usually something in there large, like a barge or a freighter. We get a lot of our goods, you know, via the water. Now you might want to jump a, fishing charter out of here, or possibly a whale watching trip. A lot of people like to kayak. You can rent one right down there. You use the Hulaia River here, which is actually one of our best, I think. That's a mountain, which we'll avoid hitting. It's way out there. So, does this look familiar? Have you all been around a bit? You two are just here for the day then, right? What did you do all day today so far? Besides eat junk at the ABC store and go to Kmart, you know? Shopping. Shopping's not bad here. It's not as good as it is on the other islands, but there's some interesting trinkets, I guess. Did you drive around at all or do any activities, or no? Just the helicopter, huh? I prefer to go up close and personal, but when you're only here for a short period of time, the helicopter is the only way to get a good, quick, general overview of what's out there. Well, it's not that big of an island. I mean, from Lahui back there where the harbor is, you can drive anywhere on Kauai in probably an hour and 10 minutes, depending upon traffic. And the best thing to do on Kauai is just drive, explore, It's an island of adventure, with lots of great beaches. Though some of them you got to go to by boat, like this one right here. You can't go down this guy's road, that's all private property, but the beach itself is public like all the rest. It's a cattle ranch. So here you can see the resort area of Poipu up ahead. Anyone staying down in Poipu? All right, which hotel? Marriott. Oh, the new Marriott. Yeah, the old Waiahai. Nice. I haven't been in there yet. Is it nice? Great. Yeah, that was broken for 10 years, over 10 years. They just opened that last Christmas. After all those years since that hurricane. So that's about a quarter of our hotels down there in the South Shore. Some nice beaches. It's a great beach right here, If you drive down Poipu Road past the Hyatt Regency, there's a dirt road. You can see it coming in like this. That's Mahalapu, and that's a beautiful wilderness area. Not very crowded at all. You can see the old sugar mill. In '96, that shut down after being in the business since the 1830s. And all the sugar was harvested, and then grass was planted to hold all the dirt together. And that's basically where they're at all these years later. But most of this is really no crop at all. Most of our sugar has fallen by the wayside in the last 10, 15 years. Really only one sugar mill remains on the whole island. 1 out of 6, you know. There's a lot of really good land sitting around. As we search for the magic crop that'll actually make money here in Hawaii. That's Koloa town there. It's a nice little town full of some pretty good shops and restaurants. So this should look pretty familiar. You can see the tree tunnel going down from the main highway. The highway is kind of an exaggeration, but you know, on Kauai, a highway is one lane in each direction. And that's usually sufficient to move the population about. We're about 57,000 residents. So we're less than 1/3 of Maui's population. We're about 1/3. Oahu has 800,000 people on an island basically the same size. We've got plenty of room. And all of us live on less than 8% of the island. The towns are pretty small. That's Omao, Lawai, Kalaheo. Might be able to make a little rainbow here. Let's see if we can get some sun out of that cloud. We can mix it with this light rain and we'll get a rainbow on that side. Maybe. Yeah, you can kind of get the idea there on the right. First one I've seen today so far. That's in the air. You'll notice the rainbows actually circle the whole aircraft. They form circles, not arches. Lovely. So I hope you rented that 4-wheel drive while you're here. Right on, there's lots of great roads, you know. It's always fun to ride on the beach, which is perfectly permissible on the island, and lots of dirt roads you can have fun on. See some wildlife up close. This is all public land here. This is state land. The reservoirs are full of fish, bass. Actually, this one, largemouth bass. They're looking kind of dirty right now because of the heavy rainfall we had a couple of days ago. They haven't quite cleared out yet. So we'll drop on in for a closer look here. This is the Hanapepe Valley. Some pretty nice waterfalls considering how dry it has been the last couple of days. Sometimes you get a couple hundred. Sometimes you can get a couple thousand waterfalls. Just depends upon the rainfall. The one in front of us here was the one used in Jurassic Park, which was shot here about 12 years ago. That's called Manavaipuna Falls. About about the height of a 20-story building, about 230 feet high. Notice the road below, and some ditches, which actually take water all the way down towards the shoreline for irrigation. So you can see the middle of the island just straight ahead there. About 8 miles. That's the volcano. Relatively cloud-free today. That's Mount Waialeale. Here you see a lot of hurricane damage, a lot of dead trees that were snapped by 200-mile-an-hour winds that came through the valley here about 12 years ago. Nice one, huh? Perfect. Ah, what a nice rainbow. Let's do a little turn here so you guys can see it on the left. Yeah, we'll probably see some more later. Let's head out west, though. I want to take you out to the sunnier half of the island here, the leeward side. Actually, you can look way down to the shoreline. You can see the different crops that we've got. That light green colored stuff on your left is sugarcane. Then to the left rear, more the darker crop is coffee. Have you guys driven by that area at all? Have you seen the? So some of you have. You can't miss the coffee. It's just miles and miles of big green bushes, then miles and miles of big green stalks, you know. And really, the whole west side is pretty much agriculture. Very little tourism on the west side, and life is extremely mellow. I like the west side. It's what the whole state used to look like maybe 80 years ago. So by far the state's largest canyons are right here. This is the Olokeli that we're going to cross. Second only in size to the Waimea, which is up ahead. And there's that darn rainbow again. You can see it's fairly green out the right, but it gets a little browner as you go west. So this time of year, the whole west side is fairly green. In the summer, you can see a distinct line where the rain just does not go. And over here, it rains about 8 to 10 inches a year. Up there, it rains about 500, only 8 miles away. major canyon you can drive up. The road goes right along the ridge line here on your left. So you go from down there to up there in about 40 minutes. It's basically sea level to about 4,500 feet. So it's a nice windy road. Lots of wonderful lookouts along the way. On top you get to a park where you've got hiking trails, campgrounds, hunting, fishing, that kind of stuff. Quite a bit of water in the river from a day ago. Normally these rivers are about knee deep. They'll rise to, 15 feet deeper than that pretty quick. For several days after a heavy rain, the water runs dirty as it's ripping all the mud and rock out of the island. And that's of course what made this canyon over the last 4 million years or so. A couple inches at a time, and now it's about 3,400 feet deep right here in the middle. Us being the oldest major island have the largest valleys and canyons, just because we've suffered the most erosion. Check out this awesome waterfall on the right here. That's Waipo'o Falls, one you don't see very often. Notice the people on top. They're hiking along a trail called the Canyon Rim Trail. Quite a popular hike. Over here too, about your 10 o'clock position. That trail goes for, several miles along the canyon rim. There's about a dozen more trails equally exciting. So we'll climb up a bit, then we'll cross over the ridge there. We're going to head out to the Nepali, which is far prettier than this canyon, much prettier. Well, the actual road goes past where that dome is. From there you can actually look right down and see the Nepali coast from your car. Sometimes, if the clouds will allow you to. And right now they're cooperating nicely. That's where the park is up there. There's actually cabins and a museum and even a place to get something to eat up there. A lot of fun. So besides the paved road, there's lots of dirt roads. You can have fun in a lot of these. They're not bad shape at all, really. See some of the wildlife. We're facing kind of west right now. You can see the western shore of the island, which is really nothing but 17 miles of fairly empty beach. And the Pacific Missile Range, which is a small Navy base over there on your left. Then about 15,000 acres of sugarcane. So these are some of the least populated beaches you'll find anywhere. The road ends right there. That's Holy Holly State Park. From there, there's no road for 20 miles in this direction. Notice in the distance there, about 25 miles to your left, you see an island out there. That's the island of Niihau. The second smallest and the only privately owned island in the Hawaiian chain. Begins right about here. Napali is the cliffs in Hawaiian, and it extends for about 15 miles. It's the whole northwestern side of the island. The cliffs are about 4,000 feet high on the average. There's 8 major valleys, most of which had some populations in them. There's a whale out there. It's not easy to see a whale from so far away, but you can see just a little splash where it is. There's plenty of them out there right now. Take a boat. Take a boat on a calm day if you can find one. And you can get right to the shore down here. A lot of them will stop down here and snorkel. Spend some time cruising the cliffs, where there are actually dozens of sea caves that they'll take you inside. You see some of the caves down here. This one's kind of a topless cave called Queen's Bath. You can put about a 50, well, at least a 40-foot boat inside there. There we caught up to Dwayne and the other group. That's Honopu Valley here in front of us. Probably the only valley on Napali that was never really settled. The valley was used mainly as a burial ground for Hawaiian royalty. Caves up there. They used to lower the dead and put their remains inside little burial caves. Sometimes you'll see goats in here if you look careful. You know, they're small though. They look a bit like ants from way out here. Thousands of those on the island. That's Kalalau Beach down there. You can see all the, the tents from the hikers that have hiked in here. The building is a park ranger station. This is the end of a very famous trail called the Kalalau Trail. probably the best hike in the state, certainly the most famous. So it's about a day's worth of hiking, a day or two in and a day or two out. The total of 22 miles up and down those cliffs in front of us. It's a valley that had a population of at least 4,000 people, maybe 150 years ago. This is by far the best valley to live in because its size and the levelness of the land and, of course, the easy access to the ocean. And, you know, the people built the trail, which was probably very similar to the trail we use today. Which is directly below us. So you guys still awake back there? Doing all right? Okay, good. If you were going to get sick, it would have already happened, you know, so you guys will be fine. But here you can see a lot of marks on the cliffs. Certainly water could fall from all those ridges on an extremely wet day, which is how the ridges were cut in the first place. There's a few tricklers today. That's about a 1,500-foot waterfall. This one here is about 2,000 feet high. A lot of birds flying around. Don't want to hit those. But most people don't have the time to do the whole hike, so they just walk the first couple of miles. You can walk to that rocky area on your left down there in about an hour. That's Hanakapiai Beach. And notice the waterfall on the right. That's 2 more miles. Or about 5 hours of hiking. Here you see some people on the trail below. Trail begins where the road ends. You can see on the right the end of the road. That's called Ke'e Beach. So you can see the Bali High peaks on your right front. They stick up like little fingers almost. That's, of course, the backdrop for, you know, the movie South Pacific. That was filmed right along this shoreline here, the North Shore, way back in '57. It's a beautiful, beautiful North Shore. You know, the North Shore is gorgeous. The drive is very fun too. Lots of little windy roads down there, one-lane bridges. The vegetation is thick. You know, lots of flowers. The surf has died quite a bit in the last 5 or 6 hours, and the reefs are looking pretty good for snorkeling. This is Kauai's best snorkeling. Nice neighborhoods down there. Down here you can spend $3 or $4 million just on a lot. Very expensive real estate. And you know, to protect your investment, you build high. A lot of these houses are 20, 25 feet from the ground to the first floor. Protection against, you know, large surf or, you know, the potential of flash floods. And occasionally even tsunamis. There you can see Princeville Resort across the bay in front of us. More hotels and golf courses, basically. Kilauea Point, where the lighthouse sits, is a large point in the distance.
Let me say, let me crush upon your shoulder, let me reach, let me beach far beyond the yellow sea.
Below us you see Lumahai Beach. Draws a pretty good crowd on the weekends. But, you know, tomorrow, everyone's back at work or school, the beaches are again empty. So that's Honolulu Bay, you know. That's the town of Honolulu, which is a fun little town full of restaurants and shops. Dates way back to the whaling days in the 1830s. Agriculture up here too. This unusual looking crop that grows in the water, those are taro fields. Gotta have that poi, you know. As much as you visitors hate it, the local people love it. They can't even grow it fast enough to keep up with the demand. It's an extremely valuable and in-demand crop, taro. And not much else will grow up here. Too wet for coffee or corn or sugarcane, pineapple. So we'll start heading for the middle now. The best is yet to come. As we head for the volcano. There's quite the tall waterfall there. That's the tallest you'll find anywhere. So technically it's about 20 all linked together. It's about 3,500 foot high. The peak itself sits about 4,000 feet high. So we'll hang a right turn and we'll fly up the Hanalei Valley. This will lead us, to the middle. As we go, you can just kind of see it getting a little bit greener. And, the vegetation getting a little bit thicker. You start seeing a lot of ferns and a lot fewer trees as it gets wetter and wetter. That's the volcano now. You can see the big mountain on the right front. The summit of Mount Waialeale is about 5180, or nearly a mile high. And the vast majority of all the island came out of that one big centralized volcano, beginning almost 6 million years ago. So the island is somewhat, somewhat round in shape, almost symmetrical, because it all came from the middle. And up there is where all the rivers begin. 7 major rivers, which made 7 major valleys and canyons, which go out in all different directions. See a couple of people a year down there at the very most. No trails exist or roads. One could build a little house down there, probably live out their entire life and no one would ever notice them. It's all public property. There's the source of the Hanalei River just up ahead. Side of this ridge, you start seeing lots of houses and buildings. We're back at the east side. About 2/3 of our 55,000 live on this side, either in Lihue in front of us, Wailua where the mountain is, or Kapa'a to the left of that. The crater itself is just up ahead at the back of this canyon. We'll fly inside. photographed is he's inside the crater. So it's missing a wall. One entire wall was eaten away by erosion. Attached to this canyon, it forms sort of a big bowl, which has a natural funneling effect upon rainfall. The showers kind of get stuck in here. It rains a lot harder. Averaging out about 500 a year. It's the wettest place in the world. So you can see a river beginning right below us. That's actually the beginning of the Wailua, which is the state's largest river. Basically fed off the water that comes down the side here. There's a pretty nice network of roads down there. You can usually see some vehicles up here. Usually they're visitors in their rental machines, or a lot of hunters, especially on the weekends. Pretty easy drive, actually. Pig hunters. A lot of Jurassic Park was shot on this area. Very pretty area. The roads kind of lead out a little bit to the right here as well. Along the way they access irrigation systems. Man-made ditches with tunnels that carry water from the mountains behind us to the sugarcane fields in front. Uncommon to fly over and see people floating around in inner tubes. This is where they do that ditch tour, where they take you down some irrigation ditches and through some tunnels in inner tubes. Most were dug in the late 19th century. And until about 3 years ago, this was all an operational sugarcane plantation. But it's been abandoned, and you can kind of see how the trees are growing through it. And little by little, the land is being used for other purposes. Very slowly, though. There's a whole bunch of roads down there, most of which are private. There is a large paved road that has some cars on it in front of us. That's public access to Wailua Falls, which you'll see over here on your left. One of the nicest waterfalls you can drive to on the island. So there's Wailua Falls. It's a less than a 10-minute drive from Lahui to get there. Not a huge deal to hike down to the bottom either and jump in the pool. Probably the same shower we saw over there as when we took off. Because the winds are kind of blowing this way today, which is opposite of what they usually do. It's kind of floating around out here. But you can see the road leading into the big city. Lahui is about 5,800. So a little more than 10% of our population lives there. It's more or less equidistant between the North Shore and the west side. So it's a pretty logical place to have your infrastructure. Most of the hotels are actually on your left. As you can see all up and down the coast here. We call it the Coconut Coast. About half the hotels on Kauai. We started building hotels in the early 50s. Before that, it was all sugar from the west side all the way to Kilauea on the North Shore. Pretty much remained that way till the 70s, really, except for the resort areas. And you can see how Lahui is kind of cut right out of a cane field. And as Kauai grows, land is rezoned. Worthless ag land is turned into some pretty valuable residential property. Beautiful beaches. That's called Hanamaulu Bay. And you can see the old harbor there on your left. That was built about 1850. Built to haul sugar cane. So thanks for coming. Hope you guys had a good time. Hope you saw some interesting stuff. Thanks. Lots to do out there. Ooh, the ship is firing up the engines. I can see the smoke from here. Maybe they're going to pull out early here. No.
Sure.
Every minute counts. You don't want to rush. You want to stay as long as you can, Daryl's going to help you guys off. He'll be happy to take some photographs if you like. At least I thought he was.
You don't get in the... You don't get in the picture?
I'm inside, yeah. You take the windshield. Oh, now they talk once we get down. I'm out of shape. I only work one day a week, But I'm good for about 5. After that, I get a little, I think we're at number 7 now. It's a busy day. Thanks to the cruise ship. So here he comes. Have a nice trip.
Michel, ça se gavé. So pretty in the sky, faces of people passing by.